times of change, this is going to be a really important piece for you. So I've been talking about how you create the mindset so you can lead other people through change. So you need to get yourself right, but it's not just mindset, it's you in totality. So how can you become resilient? And one of the things is well-being, is ensuring you have high levels of well-being. So well-being in times of change, let's have a look at this. So well-being, if we define well-being, is being able to effectively manage the 4 pillars of being human. So this allows you to show up and thrive, not just show up and be here, but thrive in times of uncertainty. What I've come to understand is the 4 pillars of well-being are your physical fitness, your mental fitness, your emotional fitness, and your spiritual fitness. So I want to have a look at what we can do in relation to this. So let's start by looking at how you start your day. If you deliberately create practices that you commit to every day, be they become habitual or a ritual, what they do is they become, in times of uncertainty, it becomes like a piece of driftwood that you cling on to help you be grounded and help you navigate the uncertainty. So a morning practice is something that allows you to maintain your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual elements. And if you have a set of practices that allow you to do that, not only do they prepare you for the day ahead, they become this grounding board that this grounding, or this piece of life-saving piece of driftwood in the choppy seas of uncertainty and change that you hold on to. Then, when you're through the change, you don't just stop with these practices that have been helping you, you continue with them. And what they do, they allow that piece of driftwood to morph into a surfboard. And now, instead of clinging on to life, you are now surfing the waves of life, and you're now really navigating with a lot of adaptability, and now you can surf through life. Now, if you don't have these type of practices and you're not nurturing and filling up these cups on a regular basis, you have nothing to give to the world and you have nothing to give to yourself. This is where you'll end up with anxiety. This is where you'll end up with burnout. These are the times where you'll end up with any sort of mental overload, physical disease, because you're not looking after yourself holistically. It's really important. So for me, myself personally, I've been establishing morning practices for probably the last 5 or 6 years now, and it ticks all of the boxes. What I do every morning ticks all those boxes. This is going to be important for you if you're managing other people, but more importantly, giving permission for your people to establish these practices as well. What works for you? Experiment. So as an example, my morning practice, and this is going to be different for everyone, my morning practice is I spend a few minutes at the moment, because I'm in the process of doing a new script, a new blueprint. I spend the first 5-10 minutes in the morning listening to a recording on my iPhone of my voice telling me about this new version of myself that I'm becoming. So that's the first thing I do. Then I come in to my office here and I roll out my yoga mat. I don't do yoga. I do foam rolling, because I know from science that if I don't roll out all the kinks in my body, I'm going to end up stiff. So I do foam rolling every morning. Then I'll go downstairs, grab the dogs, and depending on what I've got on that day, I'll go for a walk. But there is always a placeholder for a morning walk in nature. Whether it's 5-10 minutes or an hour, it's in there. Come back, make myself a healthy breakfast or smoothie, or do yoga. Then I'm ready to start the day. That morning practice can shift anywhere between being 15 minutes like it was this morning, or it can stretch out to 2 hours depending on what I've got on that day. But I'm nurturing myself. And when I'm having my smoothie, sitting down there having my nutritious breakfast, I'm listening to podcasts or an audiobook. So I'm feeding my mental mind. Nature is a really good balancer. So that's helping me physically. It's helping me. I'm walking physically, getting physical fitness. I'm in nature, getting spiritual fitness. I'm feeling good, so I'm getting emotional fitness. So this now, if you've got some form of practices as a leader or a manager, it's like you are putting the oxygen mask on yourself first before you are able to help anyone else. Then you show them how to put an oxygen mask on and show them how to set up practices that help them, that are going to help them manage and navigate change. So these are the things, and it's really simple, that we just don't do for ourselves. If you want to know how to manage uncertainty, manage yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on yourself first. Then you can show up for everybody else. The idea of your wellbeing practices is to help you feel grounded and centered first thing in the morning. So this is a nice way to start the day. If it is uncertain out there and if there is a lot of change going on, these are your piece of driftwood first thing in the morning that brings you back to center. They also allow you to become focused and poised when you're out there in the world, or when you're dealing with your team members or whatever's going on in life. Okay, they help you to be really focused. They can also nurture you and help you to stay more attuned to your vision. Your morning practices or daily practices, you might want to do them in the evening, whatever works for you, experiment. They also help you to be anti-fragile. Because if you're nurturing yourself and if you're filling up your cups in all 4 of those areas of well-being, you're going to be stronger. You're going to be anti-fragile and self-reliant. You don't need other people to fill your cups up for you. You're doing it yourself. And, you know, as I said before, they really help you become mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually fit. Now, it doesn't mean that anxiety doesn't show up and uncertainty is always going to be there in our lives. It just means you are now better prepared to manage that. Have a look at what you do in your morning routine at the moment and think about, is it ticking spiritual? Is it ticking emotional? Is it ticking mental and physical? And if it is, yeah. And if it's making you feel like you're ready to take on the day from a grounded and poised point of view, well, then it sounds like you may want to keep it. Your morning practices actually start in the evening. Now, that probably doesn't make sense, but if you don't get a good night's sleep, you're behind the 8 ball before your day starts. So if you can start to create practices in the evening, what we call sleep hygiene, that gets you ready for a good night's sleep, then in the morning, you're going to be absolutely nailing those morning practices and ready to take on the day. So they actually start the night before. This is really true with what we're going through at the moment, because there's so much going on, so much change, so much uncertainty, that it really is going to take courage for all of us and for all of you to start to say yes to rest and play.